Good morning, beautiful people. It's a potentially nice day out today. Um, Let me see. Seeing behind me, I was whining to my mom last night um, about wanting a sewing machine because it's almost impossible to get like flowy, gypsy, hippie, bohemian, whatever you want to call them skirts. You know, just the flowy skirts. It's really hard to find them in stores nowadays because apparently they're not in. Well, I like wearing them, especially in the summertime. And I can never get my hands on any, and all the ones that I have are pretty much worn out. So I did make an attempt at sewing one without a pattern, without any idea what I was doing. Um, and I did it all by hand, and that took a while. And then I realized that I should have done this differently, and I should have done that differently. It works for around the house. Excuse me. Um. Anyways, last night I was watching videos on YouTube on how to make like the patchwork flowy skirts and so on and so forth. And I just kind of like randomly messaged my mom. I'm like, I need a sewing machine. And her response was, I have one in the car. And I remember which sewing machine she has in the car. Um, and it was, it's an old sewing machine. And I've used it before. I had it at one point in time. Oh, you can tell that I wore makeup yesterday. Um, Anyways, I had it at one point in time. And it ended up in my brother's garage. And then my mom took it and it just sat in her car. So it's been in her car a few years. Because one, she doesn't really have a place to put it in her house because her house is small and cluttered. Anyways, she's like, I have one in my car. And then she's like, but don't you have one? And I'm like, no, I don't have one. I don't know what you're talking about. And then she's like, I thought you and Trav found one in the dump. Light bulb. A few years ago, well, I guess more than a few now, we had stopped off at the one dump, and like the dumps around here have sheds where you can put things that are still usable for people that might want them. And we call them the free stores. They're kind of fun to shop sometimes. Sometimes you bring home stuff you really shouldn't, but we had I'd seen what looked like a table, and I was like, oh, well, that's a nice little like end table type table. Be nice to put plants on or whatnot. And when I got closer, I was like, whoa, this opens up. I open up the lid, and it's a freaking sewing machine, and not like a crappy sewing machine, but like a Kenmore, and they're a decent little sewing machine. So I brought it home, and at one point they must have used it as like a stand for their hamster cage, and it was full of hamster food. He started moving it, and hamster food just started dropping everywhere. I laughed a lot. So I cleaned it up as best I could, and I think I even at one point turned it on to see if it actually worked. But I wasn't really into sewing at the time, and I thought, well, I might get back into sewing because I have sewn before, and not well. Um, and It ended up just getting shoved in our spare bedroom and used kind of like an end table because there was really no other place to put it. So when Mom mentioned that, I was like, I gotta dig this sucker out. Now it's not light. It was fun trying to get it into my. This is slowly becoming my craft corner. I've got like my paint stuff. I've got this set up so if I want to do doodle art and record it, I can just bring my camera down and record it. So I plug this thing all the way here, open it up. There's still hamster food surprisingly falling out of this thing. I don't know where it hides, but not much, but little bits. And I'm like, really? And I was like trying to find thread. I finally found some thread in an old sewing tin. It's kind of overstuffed now. I've stuffed some other things. But this was my grand's, and it had embroidery thread, and it had some sewing thread, and some needles, and so on and so forth in there. So I lugged that out, found some thread. Had to watch a YouTube video on how to thread a sewing machine again, because it's been years. And then, sorry, I'm really hungry and my breakfast is just like taunting me. I got it threaded, and then I was like, I gotta get this bobbin thing working. Well, it wasn't working out right. I actually ended up having to go on a YouTube video to figure that out as well. One, the bobbin thing was put in wrong, and if I'd looked closer, I would have realized that. Second of all, the bobbin was almost empty, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna refill this bobbin. How do I refill the bobbin again? Shoot. It's been that long. So, YouTube again, figured out how to load it again, and get it all working. I'm like, okay, we're set. And then trying to figure out how to get it on just a simple zigzag stitch proved very interesting. I was on the phone with my mom, and we were like, I'm like, it's just like your old Kenmore sewing machine, Mom. But it doesn't seem to work no matter what I do. It just seems to want to do just a regular stitch. So we played with a bunch of things and settings and all this stuff. And finally we got it going to where I wanted it. And that's when I was like, okay, time to play. And I had at one point in time, I don't know what I was going to do. I think I was going to make some sort of patchwork blanket. And I had ripped up this old flannel sheet into squares. And then it just sat there. I never did anything with it. Because, of course, I was going to be sewing it by hand. Because I'm crazy like that. And I mean, they're misshapen. They're not properly cut or anything like that. But I took them and I'm like, they'll work perfect for me just messing around and getting the feel for things. And so finally I decided I was going to just sew a bunch of stuff together. And I got, it was kind of like, it was sort of like a blanket. And then I decided, well, maybe I could turn it into a pillow and make a cat bed. So I folded it in half, and like you can see my shoddy sewing. I'm not. I did zigzag on this one, and it's kind of gibbled. And then I ended up doing straight stretch for the rest of the edges because it worked out better. Anyways, I got it folded in half and sewn. So put it back over there. And I was like, we'll make kind of like a nice little, instead of like a cat pillow, I can make like a mat. So just something not as thick. And I'm like, what can I put in there that I have a lot of? That's not going to be a big deal. And at this point, I was still thinking, I'm going to sew it right up. So it's just one piece. And so I found an old towel, roughly the size, folded it up so it was in there. And once I put the towel in there and smoothed it out and everything, I was like, you know, instead of sewing this up, I think I'm just going to leave it open, because then I can take the towel out, I can take it apart, I can wash it when it gets dirty. And at this point, I didn't even know if my cat was going to like it or not. So I got it made, and it's sitting there on my sewing desk. And I realized the time, it was quite late. So I called my cat inside, because she loves to pretty much live outside. She comes in, eats, then wants back outside. So I called my cat in for the night, and she was laying on the couch, just chilling. And I called her over, and she came over, and I picked her up, And I put her on there, and I was like, look, a new bed. And she's like, I don't know about this. And she's just kind of like sitting there. She's not really moving. She's just sitting kind of half awkwardly, really. And she sniffed at it for a bit and whatnot. And then she jumped down and to go eat some food. And I was like, okay, yeah, she probably, that's probably the end of it. She's probably not going to really do anything. And then as soon as she finished eating, she jumped back up on there and laid down, and she was out. I was just like, holy crap. Out of all the little beds that I have introduced to her, I've never seen her just take to one so quickly. Usually she will look at it for a few times and then go away. I mean, the only way I got her to use the one by her window, I call it her window because it's a plant stand, just a cheap plant stand, the little greenhouse ones that you can get for like I think $15 or something. And I had at one point been growing wheatgrass in my house, and that's why I had it. But she had started sitting up there when she was a kitten, and of course it's quite awkward because it's just kind of like a wide square grate. So I'd put a board down at one point, and she would chill up there, but again, it's not comfortable, it's a board. So I put a pillow on there. Well, for the longest time she wouldn't even go up there because of the pillow, and eventually, like, I just kept putting her on the pillow, and eventually she adapted to it. But this one, no, she adapted to it right away. Bonus. Anyway, happy Canada Day, because it is Canada Day. What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. I don't know what. Went and saw my best friend yesterday. Awesome. Well, our visit wasn't as long as I would have liked, but it was good to see her and the boys. They've gotten so big. So big. And because they live so far away from me, I barely see them. So, I mean, I went from being at Dyson's birthdays every year and being around him all the time to, I'm trying to think, the last birthday I actually got to go to. I think it might have been his 7th birthday, which is heartbreaking because I love that kid. But yeah. Maybe I'll make this a kind of short video since mine usually end up being like half an hour long because I drone on forever. And if I come up with anything else, I'll update you or whatever. My goal today, which was supposed to be yesterday's goal, clean my kitchen. I need my kitchen clean, and then I don't know. Clean the kitchen. That's my goal today. If I can get my kitchen clean, I'll know I accomplished something. So, anyways, I'm going to eat my breakfast. Oatmeal, and I got banana and pear in there today. Because my pears are super ripe and my bananas are getting that way. So I was like, I need to eat these up. Yeah. Bought all this fruit and I was like, whoa, I can't keep up with it. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day. Happy Canada Day. And yeah, I'm going to chill at home and clean. That is my goal. You guys take care, and hopefully you have a more interesting Canada Day than me. But yeah, bye.